My beloved child, please take a deep, intentional breath right now and hold this sacred message incredibly gently within the deepest chambers of your spirit. I need you to stop whatever you are currently doing, silence the relentless, chaotic noise of the outside world, and allow your racing mind to completely settle into the profound stillness of this exact moment. What is actively coming towards you right now through these very words is absolutely not meant to frighten you, overwhelm your nervous system, or throw your peaceful life into a state of sudden panic. It is divinely meant to awaken your dormant spiritual senses, meticulously prepare your compassionate heart, and securely wrap you in God's absolute, unshakable, and impenetrable protection. God says from his highest throne today, this is a highly urgent, time-sensitive message meant exclusively for your eyes and your soul. The powerful warrior angels of heaven are actively surrounding your physical body and your home even as you read these very sentences. The angels are urgently whispering into the spiritual atmosphere around you, saying that this is incredibly serious, and you absolutely must not ignore the profound calling of this moment. Something massive, something deeply hidden and entirely unspoken, has been actively unfolding in the silent background of your life. And heaven is finally pulling back the heavy curtain to reveal it to you today, because the creator of the universe absolutely refuses to let you walk blind through this critical spiritual intersection any longer. Someone incredibly close to you, someone whose presence has profoundly touched your life in a way that you may not even fully comprehend yet, is silently, gravely sick. They have been desperately, painstakingly hiding this agonizing truth from you for quite some time now. They have been expertly wearing a convincing mask of normalcy, forcing a bright smile onto their tired face every single time they interact with you, because their primary, desperate goal was to fiercely protect your beautiful heart from experiencing any unnecessary pain. They absolutely did not want you to worry about them. They were terrified of becoming a heavy burden on your shoulders. They did not want their intense daily struggle to magically transform into your midnight fear. But you must understand that God sees absolutely everything. God clearly sees the raw, unvarnished truth behind every single locked door, behind every forced smile, and inside every silent, agonizing night. And the specific name of this deeply loved person is currently echoing loudly and continuously in the spiritual realm right now, trembling with a desperate, unspoken urgency, silently calling out for your specific spirit, desperately needing your powerful prayers, your unconditional love, and your radiant, healing light. And before the icy grip of fear even attempts to touch your mind, God says to you with absolute, undeniable authority, you are entirely safe. Absolutely nothing will go wrong with you. I am intimately with you in this valley. I will perfectly guide your every step. You simply need to unconditionally trust me and pray to me with an open, faithful heart. The angels have been actively, persistently whispering around the perimeter of your home lately, gently brushing your shoulders with subtle, spiritual warnings, and aggressively stirring your deep-seated intuition. Think back over the past few days and weeks. You have undoubtedly felt strange, random waves of intense worry wash over you for absolutely no logical reason. You have suddenly experienced an unexplainable, suffocating heaviness in the center of your chest while simply going about your normal daily routine. You have felt a sudden, magnetic pull toward a specific memory of someone, or you have been waking up from vivid, emotionally exhausting dreams that felt entirely too real to just be the product of a sleeping mind. I am telling you right now, by the absolute authority of the divine, that none of those moments were mere coincidences. They were absolutely not the product of your overactive imagination or simple earthly stress. These were highly coordinated, deliberate divine alerts. Heaven has been urgently, desperately trying to reach your spirit because the hidden situation unfolding nearby is incredibly real, highly delicate, and deeply, intricately connected to your own grand destiny. This specific person, this beautiful but exhausted soul who is gravely sick, has been silently carrying an ocean of agonizing pain inside of their physical body and their emotional spirit for far longer than you could ever possibly know. They have been stubbornly hiding severe symptoms, completely ignoring the glaring red flags their body has been giving them, and forcefully pushing through their daily suffering with gritted teeth. They have been practically convincing everyone around them, and sometimes even themselves, that they are completely fine, even when their internal world is violently collapsing. Their stubborn silence has not been rooted in deception or a lack of trust in you. It has been deeply, profoundly rooted in their immense love for you. They simply did not want you to feel the agonizing helplessness of watching them suffer. They did not want to trigger any panic in your peaceful life. They were deeply afraid that your empathetic heart would somehow blame yourself for not noticing sooner. But God says that the heavy, suffocating veil of silence must be permanently lifted right now, because your specific presence, your unique spiritual connection, your targeted, fervent prayer, and your pure, healing energy possess the miraculous ability to completely shift the dangerous trajectory of what is currently happening to them. This is exactly why heaven is aggressively breaking its long silence today. This person's name is actively rising before the throne of God right now like thick, heavy smoke from a burning, desperate candle. Their beautiful soul is incredibly, bone-deep tired. Their physical body is rapidly weakening under the immense stress of their hidden reality. Their fragile heart is entirely overflowing with heavy, unspoken secrets. They are actively fighting a brutal, silent battle that is infinitely heavier and more terrifying than anything they have ever faced in their entire existence. The sickness they are battling is not only a physical ailment that attacks the body, it is a profound sickness of the soul, a crippling exhaustion of the heart, a draining of their emotional reserves, and the devastating result of endless, invisible battles they have bravely fought entirely alone with absolutely no one cheering them on or offering them a safe place to rest. They have been quietly breaking into a million pieces. Their inherent strength has been slowly, agonizingly draining out of them day by day, hour by hour. They feel profoundly, suffocatingly alone in the universe, even when they're standing right in the middle of a crowded room full of people who claim to love them. They desperately pray for heavenly intervention and human help, but they simultaneously feel entirely unworthy to actually receive it. They smile warmly at you, they ask how your day is going, but they silently swallow their bitter suffering the second you turn your back. They desperately hid the absolute truth from you because they feel a deep, misplaced shame about their own perceived weakness. They feel profoundly embarrassed that the harsh realities of life have finally brought them to their bleeding knees. They feel an immense, crushing guilt for even needing a helping hand. They have convinced themselves that their intense suffering will be harshly judged by the world, and that their raw vulnerability is nothing more than an ugly burden to the people they love most. And so, they desperately attempt to cover the gaping wounds of their spirit with forced humor, with endless hours of exhausting work, with mindless worldly distractions, with cold silence, with unexplainable physical distance, and with a never-ending list of empty excuses. But behind the thick, velvet curtain of the daily performance, their soul is actively collapsing. God has intimately watched every single, silent tear they violently wiped off their own face in the pitch-black darkness of the midnight hour. God has witnessed every single terrifying moment when they stared blankly at the wall and almost completely gave up the fight. God has physically felt the crushing, suffocating weight sitting on their chest, the spiraling, dark heaviness invading their mind, and the agonizing, jagged cracks forming in their fragile spirit. But God says to your spirit today, there is still massive, undeniable hope, because their earthly story is absolutely not over yet. There is a magnificent, unprecedented divine intervention currently waiting in the spiritual wings, ready to burst onto the scene. But this specific miracle absolutely requires your conscious awareness. It requires your targeted, relentless, faithful prayer. It requires your beautiful, empathetic spirit wide open, looking up to the heavens and boldly saying, God, guide me directly to the absolute truth and fiercely protect the one I love who so desperately needs your healing hand right now. God says, my beautiful, resilient child, do not be afraid of this revelation. Crippling fear is absolutely not from me. I am not sending you this urgent warning to break your heart or cause you distress. I am actively, meticulously preparing you so that you can step into your divine calling and actually help them survive this dark valley. You have been handpicked and divinely chosen to receive this highly sensitive message today because your spirit is infinitely stronger, more resilient, and more powerful than you currently give yourself credit for. Your immense, overflowing compassion literally carries a supernatural, healing frequency. When you fall to your knees and pray, the entire hierarchy of heaven goes completely silent and listens. When you urgently call out my name, I answer with thunder and grace. And the warrior angels currently stand shoulder to shoulder with you, absolutely ready to completely surround this sick, terrified person with an impenetrable fortress of blinding light, supernatural physical strength, and overwhelming divine mercy. There were long, agonizing nights when this specific person cried so silently into their pillow that they couldn't even catch their breath, simply because the physical and emotional pain festering inside them grew entirely too unbearable to handle. Nights when they felt completely misunderstood by the universe, terrifyingly alone, and paralyzed by the fear of their unknown future. Nights when they desperately, brokenly prayed to heaven for just an ounce of strength to make it through the next morning, but they absolutely refused to utter a single word to anyone else about their nightmare. They stubbornly refused to let their moments of sheer weakness be seen by human eyes. They absolutely did not want their heavy, dark burden to somehow fall into your beautiful, innocent hands. But heaven heard absolutely every single unspoken plea. God carefully, lovingly collected every single bitter tear they desperately tried to hide from the world. God watched every single agonizing moment they expertly tried to pretend that absolutely everything was perfectly fine. And God says to you today, with absolute clarity, their life, their healing, and their ultimate survival is intricately, permanently connected to your own spirit in profound, magnificent ways that you do not even fully comprehend yet. This is exactly why the Creator of the universe is urgently calling your name right now, actively preparing your heart to become the exact vessel of divine intervention they so desperately need. Vessel of divine intervention they so desperately need right now. The angels say to your spirit with absolute, ringing clarity, this situation is incredibly serious, but it is absolutely not meant to frighten you into a state of emotional paralysis. It is divinely meant to make you profoundly, spiritually aware, because in the realm of the divine, your focused, intentional awareness is actual, tangible power. Your targeted, tearful prayer is a literal, physical intervention in the heavenly courts. Your unshakable, mountain-moving faith is the exact spiritual medicine their failing body and exhausted souls so desperately require to survive this dark night. Your beautiful, empathetic heart is a massive, divine tool currently being wielded by the hands of the Creator himself. And your deep, unexplainable, magnetic connection to this specific person is absolutely not a random accident of the universe. Their sudden, grave sickness is entirely not a cruel, vindictive punishment from an angry God. Their intense, silent suffering is not a random, meaningless tragedy designed to break them. And most importantly, their beautiful, complicated life story is absolutely not ending in this dark, suffocating valley. It is actively, permanently entering a massive, unprecedented divine turning point. God desperately wants you to understand exactly why heaven is choosing to forcefully reveal this hidden, painful truth to you right now, at this exact moment in your life. Because something monumental, something entirely cosmic, is aggressively shifting in the spiritual realm right above your head. Something massive is being physically rearranged by the hands of warrior angels. Something incredibly dangerous is being powerfully, permanently redirected by the very breath of God. And you, my beautiful, faithful child, are an absolutely vital, irreplaceable part of this miraculous shift. The specific person whose name heaven is constantly, gently speaking over your spirit right now has officially reached a terrifying spiritual threshold. They have reached a desperate breaking point, a terrifying moment in time where their exhausted soul is loudly, desperately crying out for supernatural support because their physical and emotional reserves are entirely, completely depleted. They may look incredibly strong, capable, and perfectly put together on the outside, flawlessly executing their daily tasks and responsibilities, but on the fragile inside, they are crumbling like dry clay in the sun. They may smile widely and laugh loudly in front of everyone they meet, portraying an image of absolute stability, but behind the heavy, locked doors of their private life, they are violently fighting exhausting, bloody battles that you never even knew existed. And God says to you with a gentle, yet incredibly firm warning, do not, under any circumstances, judge them for this silence. Do not let your human ego feel bruised or betrayed. Do not blame them for keeping you entirely in the dark. Do not get angry at them for stubbornly hiding this agonizing reality from you for so long. You must deeply understand the absolute purity of their intentions. They did not hide it because they didn't trust you. They did not hide it because they thought you were too weak to handle it. They hid it simply because they loved you entirely too much to watch your beautiful heart break for them. Your life is currently entering a sacred, holy moment where an unprecedented level of divine compassion must flow freely, unconditionally, and abundantly from your spirit to theirs. This is the exact, profound reason why you have been feeling so incredibly, almost painfully spiritually sensitive lately. This is exactly why old, deeply buried memories of this specific person have been suddenly, aggressively resurfacing in your mind while you are driving, working, or simply trying to fall asleep. This is why certain people from your past have been appearing in your random thoughts completely out of nowhere, triggering a deep, unexplainable emotional response in your chest that leaves you breathless. God was actively, meticulously preparing your fragile heart quietly, gently, and strategically, without completely overwhelming your human senses all at once. And now, the ordained, perfect moment has finally arrived. The warrior angels are guiding you incredibly slowly and carefully through this massive revelation. They absolutely do not want you to panic. They do not want the crippling, icy poison of fear to enter your beautiful heart and paralyze your prayers. They desperately want you to stand incredibly tall in your unshakable faith. They want you to permanently remember that the Creator of the universe is standing right beside you, holding your hand through the storm. They want you to fully, completely understand that absolutely nothing will go wrong with you. You are entirely safe. You are fiercely, heavily protected from every possible angle. You are completely surrounded by an impenetrable, blazing fortress of blinding, divine light. God says to your spirit today that your specific, targeted prayer has the literal, supernatural power to bring massive, instantaneous healing into this person's fading life. Your unyielding faith can miraculously kick open heavy, iron doors that the most educated doctors, specialists, and earthly medicines simply cannot budge. Your pure, loving heart can actively send massive, physical waves of divine, healing warmth directly into their weakening, trembling body, regardless of the physical distance that currently separates you. This person is likely still not fully ready to look you in the eyes and tell you the absolute, terrifying truth of their medical or spiritual condition yet, but I promise you with the authority of heaven, they can undeniably feel your spirit hovering over them right now. They can physically feel your immense, overflowing compassion wrapping around their shivering shoulders like a warm, heavy blanket in the freezing cold. They can feel the unbreakable, spiritual connection pulling at their tired soul. And your beautiful soul actively reaching out to them in deep, fervent, tearful prayer can instantly strengthen their failing immune system, calm their racing, terrified mind, and fortify their breaking spirit in miraculous ways you cannot possibly begin to imagine. God wants you to know, with absolute, concrete certainty, that this grave sickness is absolutely not the final chapter of their book. This is entirely not a message of permanent loss, devastating grief, or unavoidable tragedy. This is a powerful, booming message of spiritual awakening. It is a message of profound, life-altering revelation. It is a message of flawless, perfect divine timing stepping in to save the day. Heaven is choosing to forcefully reveal this heavily guarded, painful secret to you right now, today, because the illness, whether it is actively ravaging their physical body, severely draining their exhausted mind, or completely shattering their soul, has officially reached a critical, tipping point phase where your direct, intentional spiritual intervention can actually, physically make the difference between their life and their loss. Your physical presence, your targeted prayer, your high-frequency energy can literally shift the entire cosmic outcome of this terrifying situation. Someone incredibly close to you is gravely sick, and their specific name carries an immense, profound weight in your daily life. Their name holds deep, unresolved, beautiful emotion. Their name carries beautiful, unforgettable, nostalgic memories. Their name carries a massive, irreplaceable piece of your own destiny. And God is absolutely not asking you to blindly guess the name like a cruel game. God is asking you to get perfectly quiet, completely silence your racing mind, and simply feel exactly who your beautiful heart is being magnetically, undeniably pulled toward right now as you read these very words. God is asking you to completely surrender your human logic and let your pure, divinely connected intuition speak the absolute, unfiltered truth to your spirit. Heaven is desperately asking you to open your spirit wide right now and boldly declare into the spiritual atmosphere, God, shine your absolute, blinding, healing light upon the specific person I love who is currently suffering so deeply in total silence. Fiercely protect them from the encroaching darkness. Miraculously strengthen their failing, tired body. Abundantly bless their exhausted, frightened soul. Completely surround their bed with your most powerful, militant healing angels. And flawlessly guide them out of this terrifying valley and directly toward a complete, absolute, supernatural recovery. And you must know, deep in your bones, that God intimately hears every single syllable of that desperate prayer. God actively, immediately responds to every single faithful prayer uttered from a pure, loving heart. And the angels in the unseen realm physically move, fight, and battle the darkness according to the exact measure of your faith. This person's grave sickness may have been expertly, meticulously hidden from you by their own human pride and the crippling fear of being a burden, but God is aggressively exposing it today. Not to break your spirit under the heavy, sudden weight of the news, but to entirely empower you to become the exact miracle they so desperately need. Not to put crippling, suffocating fear in your chest, but to aggressively activate the dormant, powerful healer that currently lives inside of you. Not to overwhelm your peaceful daily life with chaotic stress, but to profoundly awaken the blinding divine light within you that has been waiting so quietly, so patiently, for the exact right moment to rise and conquer the darkness on their behalf. The angels are practically shouting to your spirit that this situation is incredibly serious, but you must understand that serious absolutely does not mean hopeless. It simply means that your undivided, focused attention matters right now more than ever before. It means that your specific prayer is the literal key that unlocks heaven's highest armory. It means that the unblemished purity of your heart is the exact medicine required to heal their wounds. The spiritual connection between you and this suffering person is incredibly sacred, beautifully ordained and written by God long before either of you were even born. And heaven desperately needs you to bravely step into your high spiritual role right now without a single ounce of hesitation or doubt. Now, God says to you with a comforting, booming voice that shakes the heavens, do not fear the unknown path ahead of you. I am actively protecting you from every seen and unseen danger. I am intimately watching over your home, your family, your health, and your mind. I am flawlessly guiding your every single step in this incredibly delicate, fragile season. Absolutely nothing will go wrong with you, my beautiful, resilient child. Heaven simply loves you entirely too much to let you continue walking in the dark, completely ignorant of the massive spiritual warfare happening right next to you. You were divinely, specifically meant to see this exact message today. You were chosen and ordained by the stars to receive this urgent alert. You were handpicked by the Creator because your resilient spirit is miraculously strong enough to carry the heavy, terrifying truth without breaking, but incredibly gentle enough to fall to your knees and pray with pure, unconditional, overwhelming love. This terrifying, heavy situation will absolutely not destroy you, and it will not destroy them. It will completely reveal the magnificent, unbreakable strength of your character. It will spiritually elevate you both to heights you never dreamed possible. It will drastically, permanently deepen your spiritual power and your intimate connection to the divine realm. It will massively expand your capacity for pure, unconditional compassion. It will draw you infinitely closer to the very heartbeat of God. And in the breathtaking, miraculous end, your simple, tearful prayer will literally become the catalyst for someone else's absolute, physical and spiritual miracle. Keep reading this powerful, prophetic message again and again whenever the icy, suffocating grip of fear tries to enter your mind in the middle of the night. Pray gently, but pray with absolute, unyielding authority. Trust the Creator of the universe completely and unconditionally. You are incredibly safe. You are flawlessly guided. You are fiercely protected. And I promise you, your prayer is already traveling at the speed of light, actively reaching the exact person whose name heaven is currently whispering into your spirit. God is with you, and absolutely nothing will go wrong with you. Because right now, even as they pretend to the world that everything is perfectly fine, the spiritual atmosphere in their room is becoming incredibly heavy. The situation they're facing has looked completely, terrifyingly dangerous for so long, practically drowning them in a cold sea of hopelessness. The medical odds, the emotional toll, and the spiritual darkness have all formed a massive, intimidating mountain standing right in front of them, completely blocking out the sun. But heaven is declaring to your spirit today that this dark, terrifying mountain is about to be completely, violently moved. The situation looked entirely dangerous and hopeless, but the hand of the Almighty is actively reaching down through the clouds right now, preparing to completely shatter the darkness and unleash a miracle so incredibly massive, so undeniably divine, that it will permanently alter the course of both of your lives. Permanently alter the course of both of your lives. God is actively stepping into the absolute darkest, most terrifying corners of their current reality right now, completely bypassing earthly medicine and human logic, to unleash a wave of supernatural healing that will leave absolutely everyone speechless. The crushing, suffocating situation that has kept them paralyzed in fear for so incredibly long is physically and spiritually beginning to break apart under the blinding, magnificent weight of heaven's glorious intervention. The heavy, dark burden that they have been secretly carrying on their fragile shoulders, the one that made it difficult for them to even take a deep breath in the middle of the night, is actively being lifted by the hands of warrior angels. The vicious, relentless sickness, whether it has been violently attacking the cells of their physical body, aggressively draining the joy from their exhausted mind, or completely shattering the fragile peace of their soul, is actively, permanently being defeated by the undeniable, consuming fire of divine light. You are actively standing on the exact threshold of a breathtaking miracle, and you must open your spiritual eyes wide right now to witness the absolute majesty of what God is orchestrating directly behind the scenes. This beautiful, terrified person is absolutely no longer fighting this horrific, exhausting battle alone in the dark. The agonizing chains of their self-imposed isolation are violently snapping in half right now. Because of your incredible, faithful willingness to receive this urgent, prophetic message today, your pure, radiant spiritual connection is actively reaching him across the distance, instantly bringing him a profound, unexplainable comfort before a single physical word is ever even spoken between you. They do not yet consciously know that heaven has forcefully revealed their heavily guarded secret to you, but their inner spirit undeniably feels the massive tectonic shift in the atmosphere. Tonight, for the first time in what feels like an eternity of suffering, they will actually experience a sudden, miraculous wave of warmth washing over their shivering body. The sharp, localized pain that has been relentlessly tormenting them will miraculously begin to dull, recede, and completely fade into the background. The chaotic, terrifying thoughts of mortality and hopelessness that usually completely consume their mind when they lay their head on their pillow will be instantly, forcefully replaced by a sudden, overwhelming, and entirely unexplainable sense of absolute peace. They will close their tired eyes and actually sleep deeply, peacefully, and safely, because your targeted, tearful prayers are physically acting as a heavy, protective blanket wrapped tightly around their fragile frame. You must deeply, unconditionally understand that the Creator of the universe did not bring this incredibly heavy, serious revelation to your doorstep just to leave you standing there in a state of crippling, paralyzed anxiety. God has explicitly promised to your spirit today that this beautiful, suffering person absolutely still has magnificent, unwritten chapters left to complete in the grand book of their earthly life. They still have breathtaking, awe-inspiring blessings left to experience. They still have genuine, uncontrollable laughter waiting to return to their tired eyes. They still have massive, victorious milestones to celebrate right beside you. This terrifying sickness, this dark valley of the shadow of death, is absolutely not the permanent period at the end of their beautiful sentence. It is merely a temporary comma in the magnificent story of their divine destiny. This entire terrifying ordeal is a massive, ordained turning point that will completely, permanently transform how they view their life, how they view the God, and exactly how deeply they value the incredible, unconditional love that you have so freely and consistently offered them. When the thick, suffocating dust of this spiritual warfare finally settles, and they emerge entirely, completely victorious and fully restored on the other side, their bond with you will be exponentially stronger, infinitely deeper, and entirely unbreakable, because your unwavering spirit fiercely stood in the agonizing gap for them when they were absolutely too weak to stand and fight for themselves. But as you bravely step into this incredibly vital, holy role of a spiritual intercessor and the divine healer, you absolutely must fiercely guard your own mind against the insidious, creeping lies of the enemy. The dark forces that desperately want to see this person fail will immediately attempt to use this heavy revelation to aggressively attack your own personal peace. The enemy will actively try to plant toxic, suffocating seeds of panic, dread, and worst-case scenarios directly into your vivid imagination. The enemy will desperately try to convince you that the medical odds are entirely too high, that the secret they kept is entirely too dark, or that the physical damage is completely irreversible. But you must absolutely, aggressively reject those demonic lies the very second they attempt to enter your mind. You must stand incredibly tall, plant your feet firmly on the solid, unshakable rock of your faith, and boldly declare into the spiritual atmosphere with absolute, unwavering authority, I am completely safe. The person I love is fiercely protected. Absolutely nothing will go wrong with us. You must actively remind your trembling heart that blinding, paralyzing fear is absolutely never from God. Fear is nothing more than a desperate, pathetic illusion created by a defeated enemy. God is the ultimate, unrivaled physician. God is the supreme, flawless architect of the human body and the human soul. There is absolutely no sickness on this earth, no hidden disease, no emotional trauma, and no spiritual darkness that can ever withstand the spoken, commanding word of the Almighty. And God is speaking that commanding word of absolute, flawless restoration over their fading life right now, entirely because of your faith. Heaven is actively moving the invisible puzzle pieces into perfect, meticulous alignment. The right medical professionals, the right treatments, the right conversations, and the right, sudden bursts of healing energy are all being flawlessly, strategically positioned around them by the hands of angels. You simply need to completely, unconditionally surrender your desperate human need to control the physical outcome, and entirely trust the flawless, perfect timing of the divine. Do not rush to violently confront them about their secret. Do not aggressively back them into a corner or make them feel profoundly guilty for hiding their immense pain from you. Instead, you must approach them with an overflowing, boundless ocean of pure grace. You must actively, intentionally create an incredibly safe, warm, non-judgmental environment where they finally feel comfortable enough to organically, naturally drop their heavy armor and confess their profound struggle to you on their own terms. Just gently, Consistently love them. Speak immense, vibrant life into their spirit every single time you see them. Remind them of their incredible, inherent worth. Remind them of the beautiful, unbreakable future that is still patiently waiting for them. Let your remarkably calm, unbothered, and faithful presence be the exact physical proof they desperately need that God has absolutely not abandoned them in their darkest hour. You are entirely not powerless in this terrifying situation, my beautiful child. You have never been powerless. You have been intricately, flawlessly designed by the Creator to be a massive, blinding beacon of hope in the middle of this terrifying storm. Your spoken words currently hold the literal, miraculous power to shift the entire spiritual atmosphere. Your unshakable, mountain-moving faith holds the exact weight necessary to tip the cosmic scales directly in their favor. Your immense, overflowing compassion literally holds the divine, physical capacity to inject supernatural healing directly into their exhausted veins. God urgently wants to remind you today that profound, life-altering miracles do not always announce their arrival with loud, chaotic thunder or spectacular, flashy signs in the sky. Sometimes, the most massive, foundational miracles arrive incredibly quietly, beautifully softly, and entirely silently. Exactly the way the gentle morning light slowly, effortlessly fills a pitch-dark room without using a single ounce of force. A massive, undeniable miracle is already perfectly forming entirely around this person's life right now. And your newfound, divinely given awareness is an absolutely critical, irreplaceable part of that exact miracle process. The universe is actively conspiring to completely, permanently heal them, and heaven is using your pure, loving heart as the primary, sacred conduit for that magnificent healing power. So I am asking you right now, with all the love and urgency of heaven, to completely release the heavy, suffocating anxiety you are currently holding tightly in your chest. Release the terrifying, paralyzing what-ifs that are desperately trying to consume your mind. Release the heavy, crushing burden of trying to magically fix everything on your own limited, human strength. You simply cannot do it alone. But the beautiful, magnificent truth is that you were absolutely never meant to. God is standing right beside you, holding your hands so incredibly tightly that absolutely nothing can ever pull you away. God is already intimately dwelling inside the very hospital rooms, the quiet bedrooms, and the terrifying medical appointments that this person is currently facing. God has already completely, flawlessly secured their ultimate victory. You simply just need to walk confidently, bravely, and peacefully into the beautiful, healed reality that heaven has already permanently established for both of you. You are entirely safe. Your loved one is fiercely, jealously guarded by the Creator of the stars. The terrifying, agonizing season of silent suffering is officially, permanently coming to an end, and the glorious, breathtaking season of miraculous recovery and profound, unbreakable reunion is actively rushing toward you at the speed of light. My beautiful, resilient, faithful child, just breathe for a moment. Let the pure, unconditional peace of the Holy Spirit completely wash over your entire physical body right now, from the very top of your head down to the soles of your feet. Allow these sacred, prophetic words to sink so deeply into your spirit that they permanently alter the way you view the future. What is currently entering your life is not a tragedy. It is the ultimate, undeniable triumph of divine love over human suffering. It is not meant to frighten you, weaken your resolve, or confuse your beautiful mind. It is entirely meant to permanently awaken the dormant spiritual warrior inside of you, to massively strengthen your faith, and to profoundly remind you that God has absolutely never, ever removed his loving, protective eyes from you or the people you love. Not even for a single, fleeting second in time. This urgent, critical message has flawlessly, perfectly flowed to you today because heaven desperately needed to reach your spirit before the toxic, suffocating lies of doubt and confusion could ever attempt to take root. God is speaking to you softly, firmly, and with an overwhelming, consuming love. He is boldly declaring that the absolute worst of the storm is entirely over. The hidden sickness has been permanently exposed to the blinding light of heaven, and it has officially lost absolutely all of its power to destroy. You are safe. They are protected. The healing is actively, undeniably here. Keep your faith completely unshakable, keep your spirit wide open, and keep your heart overflowing with pure, radiant love. If you completely, unconditionally trust the Almighty God to miraculously heal the person you love, and if you are fully, bravely ready to accept this breathtaking divine intervention right now, type Amen to instantly activate this massive healing miracle in your life today.